Hey folks, Crazyclimber80 here again, and we're here for another entry in my MAME attract mode with invincibility or other cheats video or clips. And this time around we're going to start with the game Ninja Kid 2, also known as Rat Action. And in this one, in the attract mode 1 here, with invincibility on, after the octopi grab you for a while, you will just go to the high score list. See those octopi around there? Those red octopi, they're just going to eventually grab you and just hold on. Otherwise you would have been dead, of course. And that giant fish just goes right through you. See, they just kind of grab onto you and eventually you'll go to the high score list. And we're going to, in a moment, have a look at the attract mode, or the second attract mode, right here. And in this one, there will be a giant skeleton that attacks you. And he would normally kill you, but he'll just keep attacking for a little bit, and then you'll go to the high score list if you have invincibility on. I'm looking forward to getting done with this series. It's kind of worn on me. It's taken a long time to complete each entry. After I'm done, I might have some requests to tend to. I might also have some special surprises. See, he just goes right through you with his sword. Would have died by now for sure without the cheat. But now we're going to go to Pac-Mania. And with invincibility on this one, it doesn't go to a high score list or reset or anything. You'll eventually go through the ghosts, and then you'll just kind of hang around this rectangular area after a while. Other attract modes will play, or of other stages, but they will be similar. You will go through some ghosts, and then you'll not finish a maze, because PacMan will just kind of hang around a certain area and just not move around enough to get the rest of the dots. I remember seeing this at I think I saw this first at a movie theater. I liked the 3D look, but it was not different enough in gameplay for me. And now we're going to look at R-Type. With invincibility on in R-Type here, in the attract mode, you will play through the whole game. And at some point I also put on an instant charge shot. Yeah, you will be able to play through the whole game of R-Type in the attract mode if you have invincibility on. Kinda nice. This had a very good Sega Master System port. I think I only saw this at the arcade once, actually. This got I think a Rare license and a Nintendo license on the arcade release. But it was created by IREM. Definitely one of the all-time classic shoot-'em-ups. But yeah, you just keep playing through the game. And eventually you'll get to the ending here, and you're still shooting the instant charge shot with that cheat. And eventually you'll just start the whole game over. Let's go forward here a bit. And next we're going to look at a game called Rabbit Punch. And it is also known as Rabiolepus. Cute little game. These guys appeared in, I think, some of the Aero Fighters games. But with invincibility, the game will eventually go to the high score list shortly after you were supposed to die. And we'll see, I think, 2 attract mode stages, or at least parts of it. That's a common thing for a number of games in MAME, with the invincibility cheat on, shortly after you were supposed to die, the game will send you to the high score list. So you're supposed to die here, just kind of freeze there, and then go to the high score list. I think I saw this once at arcades under the Rabbit Punch name. I think I saw it once at a beach arcade. And now we're going to look at the classic Rastan with Invincibility on. There is a part where you were supposed to die at a rope near a wall. But you will advance shortly after that, but you won't complete the level. You'll just kind of hang around at a certain point, and the game will just not go back to a high score list or title screen or anything. I remember this. I first saw this at a 7-Eleven, and the music I was just blown away by. I liked the Conan the Barbarian look to your character Rastan. Great classic by Taito. The sound of the heart pumping when you were starting to run out of energy really got you kind of nervous. This is just such a great game. This also had a good Sega Master System port. I might have to go back to another console review in the near future. But at any rate, yeah, not long after this, you will just freeze. I think it's like shortly after the axe here. Right around here is where you just start not wanting to move. I think you get knocked off, yeah, and you just don't move anymore. You get swarmed by bats. Now we're going to look at Road Blasters, and I chose the cheat that makes you always drive at high speed. And you'll run into cars and blow up, but you'll have another one appear right away. You drive at crazy high speeds. When you get to a certain distance, you'll go to the enemy scoring list. I remember this at the department store where I used to work when I was in my early 20s. And there's the scoring list. And next we're going to look at Shinobi Classic. I put on Invincibility and a super jump cheat. The game will eventually go to the bonus game demo. Yeah, he would have been killed by one bullet without the invincibility on. Now we're going to look at Super Hang-On with Invincibility and always ride at maximum speed cheats. You will ride at crazy speed. Eventually you will go to the high score list. I had Super Hang-On for the Sega Genesis. I thought it was a great game. I really enjoyed it. I'd gotten better at racing games over the years. I used to be really terrible at them. And then we'll also look at this is the crazy speed cheat. That is pretty crazy, and you'll just go right through everything. And then you go to the high score list, I believe. Yep. And now we're going to look at Terraforce, part of the Terracresta or Mooncresta series. I put on infinite shields, and you'll just keep going between the above and below ground sequences. There will be no end. It'll just keep on going. The above ground and below ground kind of makes me think of Mag Max. Really good classic game. Also by Nichibutsu. I don't think I've ever seen this one in arcades. But yeah, this is part of the Mooncresta or Terracresta series. and yeah, there'll be an area that says in, and you'll go into it once you fly over it. You'll be in these underground cavern type of areas. But next we are going to look at the game Thunderblade, another Sega classic. With this, you will have invincibility on with this cheat, and you will eventually get to a night scene with these beams that you're supposed to die when you run into. And right after you were supposed to die, the game will go to the high score list. Like I said, that's kind of a common thing with the invincibility cheat for a number of games. This had pretty impressive scrolling, background zooming into view type of graphics for its time, for 1987. I remember seeing this in at least one arcade. And here is where you were supposed to die, and the game would go to the high score list. But I did not die. At any rate, next we're going to look at Tiger Road. And with infinite energy cheat on, you will eventually drop off from an upper platform and go to the title screen. And we will look at a second attract mode of a different stage where you fight a boss. And in that one, that will eventually go to the title screen. And here's that boss. This kind of feels like Trojan, another Capcom game. The guy can jump pretty darn high. And there it goes back to the title screen. And next we're going to look at Time Soldiers. It's an okay game. I put invincibility on, and at some point you will go down these stairs, and then the game will just go to the high score list. I don't recall if I saw this one in arcades. Not a bad game. I remember this mostly, well, the time traveling sequences, but also your guy would scream when he died, and it was kind of traumatic, almost. Really felt bad for the guy. Yeah, the game will go to the high score list. Or no, yeah, the high score list and then the title screen. And we're almost done with the 1987 games. This time we're going to look at Twin Cobra. And with invincibility on, right after you were supposed to die, the game will go to the high score list. And yeah, that's common for a number of games in MAME when you put on invincibility. Or at least games from like maybe the later 80s. So you go right to the high score list there. And now we're going to move on to 1988, and here's 88 games, part of the track and field series. I put on max power on long jump trick, and he trips. Plus he looked like a garble of weird graphics. But yeah, you can't apply the max power during his jump. Now on hurdles, you'll get a false start twice, and then you'll just trip on hurdles. And here I have the max power cheat, so that I will eventually run super fast, but I will trip over a hurdle, each hurdle. Kind of a delayed start. Whoops. Well, each event will eventually cut short to the title screen, and here's the javelin throw. And again, he looks kind of funky for a little bit, but he will get a foul. Yeah. Well, at any rate, next we're going to look at Altered Beast. Sega Classic. With Invincibility on, if a player doesn't have it on, they will die, and you both go to the high score screen. But otherwise, the demo will just play for a while, and then go to the title screen and high score list. And we both have the Beast power on. I remember I had this for my Sega Genesis. It came with the Sega Genesis. And there's another stage in the attract mode. This is kind of a weird game with some kind of Greek mythology or something in it. And now we're going to look at Assault, a classic by Namco tank game. With Invincibility on, the computer will get near the boss, but they will just rotate in a circle until time runs out, and then the game goes back to the title screen. They will not beat the boss. It's a hard frickin' game. I played this for one of the, I think one of the Namco Classic games. Tough game. But kind of a cool to fire missiles that can take out a whole bunch of enemies in a group. But yeah, there's a lot of tanks that will be shooting at you, and you have to really find a way to avoid getting hit by them. And you see the timer at the top center ticking down. When it goes down to 0 in the demo, then the game will just go back to the title screen. But if you had infinite time, your guy would just still be moving in a big old circle, like right here. See, those two giant tanks are the boss, and he's just not going to beat them no matter what. Time up. And next we're going to look at the classic Bad Dudes. I used to love this game. Now, if you don't have Invincibility on or infinite health for both players, the second player will die near the sewer ladder, and the first player will just sit there. But if both players have Invincibility on, they will both live, of course, but they will stop at the same place. See, my other guys just stand there, derp derp derp. And there will be no, I don't think the game will cut to the high score list. See, there's the ladder, and it just sits there. There's the... Yeah, he dies, and... Nope, just sits there. See, here's both players with Invincibility on, and the ninja's trying to cut one of us, and it's not happening, and the other just sits there. But yeah, I used to love this game in the arcades. I was crazy about it. And next we're going to look at K-Ball. This was a great game. With Invincibility on for both players, the game will go to the high score list right after the second player was supposed to die, at about 11,890 points. And there it is. Creepy. Next we're going to look at Chase HQ. I have always super speed cheat on. You can also use the cheat that's called Finish Chase after one hit now to make the perp appear, the perpetrator. And the perpetrator won't pull over. It will eventually go to the high score list, and then the instructions, and then the title screen. Yeah, I used that cheat to make that perpetrator appear there in that car. You do not get to bash them and make them pull over, but we do see the high score list here appear. This was a really, really difficult game. It's kind of cool though for its time. There's the instructions list, and then it'll eventually go to the title screen. And next we're going to look at a game that was only released in Japan, Crazyclimber80's. I put on the invincibility cheat. You are invincible to falling objects, but not closing windows. They close on your hand, you will die. Eventually the game will go to the high score list. And we looked at a couple of track modes. Yeah, got squished by or his hand got smushed by a closing window, and he dies. And next we are going to look at Devastators by Konami. And I put on Invincibility. You will go to the title screen shortly after you were supposed to die, at about 1 minute and 28 remaining on the timer. I wasn't crazy about this. The effect of your bullets kind of rolling off in the distance looked really stupid, I thought. Well, it was early scrolling graphics. See, it's supposed to die there. And he just kind of sits there. Derp-de-derp-de-derp. Back to the title screen. Now we're going to look at Final Blow. This was a cool boxing game for its time. I put on Infinite Energy. And this is weird, whichever character has infinite energy, it'll take just one hit for them to be knocked out. That doesn't make any sense. Whoops, see? That's really weird, but that's what it does. At any rate, gonna look at the sequel to Ghosts and Goblins, or the first one, Ghouls and Ghosts. With Invincibility, shortly after you were supposed to be hit, you will go to the story cutscene and then the title screen. And that's with whichever attract mode stage that you see. So you start over and then then you'll go to the title screen. Eventually, we'll see a little bit of a story mode. I only saw this one once in the arcades, and that was Malibu Grand Prix in Orlando, Florida. I didn't see it in arcades again. This is a fantastic sequel to Ghosts and Goblins. But at any rate, we are now going to look at Kageki, which I think is terrible. With infinite energy, you will whoop the opponent. You might be able to KO them in the attract mode. Eventually, you will go to the high score list, even if you don't KO him. I don't know what the hell that gal is saying. Really, really bad game, I thought. Here's the other attract mode. Sumo wrestler type of guy. But yeah, with infinite energy, they can't really hurt you much. There, I knocked him out, I guess. Kind of stupid game. And next we're going to look at Narc. With Invincibility on, there's no sound, I guess. You will get outside this door that goes to like a nightclub or something, and you'll just kind of hang around outside. It will not end or go to the high score list or title screen or anything. This game cracked me up. I thought it was hilarious. You have to shoot these bums or crack dealers or whatever and collect the crack off the ground. I thought it was a hilarious game. I was kind of a dumb kid back then, but I at least knew what was meant to be just funny and not serious, and blowing these guys apart or arresting them or picking up their drugs. It was all just goofy humor. Wasn't meant to be taken seriously, so you just kind of hang around outside this door and that's it. Really funny game. I really enjoyed that in arcades. Now we're going to look at the New Zealand story. With Invincibility on, you are supposed to die when certain things happen. There will be a cat that'll throw an axe at you, or you can die by touching enemies in the second attract mode that we'll see, and you will then go to the high score list shortly after you were supposed to die. I enjoyed this. This was kind of cool. You control a Kiwi Bird, and you can ride certain craft around on the screen. You can collect certain weapons and shoot enemies. There will be spikes all over the place on some levels, and one touch of the spikes and you're dead. Touching an enemy or their projectiles will also automatically kill you. But yeah, I was supposed to die by touching these guys, and that didn't happen. Then the game will go to the high score list. Did it? Next, we're going to look at Ninja Gaiden, classic beat 'em up. I like the NES version better. With infinite energy, you will just sit there getting beat up without falling over. Eventually, you will go to the high score list. See, we're just punching bags for these guys. It'll eventually go to the high score list. That can't feel good. Even if you have invincibility on, that's just going to take a toll on your body. Or that was infinite energy cheat. With invincibility, yeah, you will go to the high score list shortly after hanging from signs on this part. And you can flip off of the signs. It took me a little while to warm up to this. I was just like, oh, beat 'em up game, and just kind of seemed repetitive at first, but there's some nuances to it that you can learn to appreciate. Throw enemies into objects and get special items. You can sometimes pick up swords, like right there. Well, I didn't pick it up, but there it is. And next we will look at Ninja Spirit. With invincibility on, you will get to the boss, but you will never beat it. If you run out of time, you will die and go to the high score list. Put on infinite time, it won't matter because you'll never beat the boss. I like this power-up that has 2 extra guys with you, 2 clones. But even with the clones, he will not beat the boss. I'd never heard of this one. I think it might have had like a TurboGrafx port. I played it for in MAME. It's pretty cool. If IRAM has a classics collection, this should definitely be on that list. You'll eventually get to the boss, but you'll never beat it, or the computer will never beat it. And it'll appear in just a moment. But yeah, we'll speed it up so we'll see me run out of time and die. But yeah, the computer will just jump here and there and slash here and there and never quite beat the boss. I'm ready to finish off this series. I've done enough of these, I think. looking forward to getting on to some other things. Here's me running out of time. There's the high score list. Now we're going to look at Ninja Warriors, or the Ninja Warriors. With infinite energy on, you will eventually just kind of putz around with the tank boss. Or maybe it's not a boss, I can't remember. This was a two-screen arcade game. I remember seeing this in the arcades for sure. I think they had a Mega Drive CD port of this. I've never played it. It was not released in the US, I believe, or for the Sega CD. So you just kind of stand around and get shot. Your robotic insides start to show. Yeah, the ninjas of this game are robots. I wasn't as crazy about this as a number of other people were. You'll eventually go to the high score list there. And then the title screen. But that's the Ninja Warriors. And next we're going to look at Power Drift. I used the always drive at crazy speed cheat. It gets a little fuckered up looking. And then it'll go to the high score list. This is actually a pretty cool game. I don't really recall running across it at arcades, but it is a lot of fun. Interesting little vehicles that you drive. Kind of flat drift cars, I guess. Hurry up! But next we're going to look at Robocop with infinite energy on, and eventually I used the Cobra gun cheat and hit anywhere cheat, but just like a lot of other games with this cheat on, you will go to the high score list right after a certain point where you were supposed to die or take a couple hits at least. I loved this game in the arcade. This was fun. I really enjoyed this. There's the Cobra gun. Now we're going to look at Silkworm, and this is an okay game. With Invincibility on, you were supposed to have died partway through this. Partway through the deforested area with the broken down trees that we'll see in just a little bit. Eventually you will destroy the boss. It'll take a long time because the boss has to collide with you, but it will do that, and it'll explode. And then you go to a new area. And you'll be able to, the computer will go right through that stage too, and destroy the boss. And the following stage, you will not beat the boss because you will have two. You will not actively try to destroy it, or the computer will not. I like this game. You have both you have a Jeep as one player and a chopper as the other. And team up and take out bosses. You can provide ground fire with one and air fire from the other. And you can collect shields. This was kind of fun. I remember seeing this, I think, once in the arcade. It's a decent game by Tecmo. They had only been Tecmo for like a couple years or so at this point. Before that, they were called Take-On. There we beat that boss. Then we go to another stage in the attract mode. And eventually we will beat the boss on this stage. And he ran into me to be destroyed. And we go to another area. And you will the computer will eventually get to that to the boss of this stage. Might be hard to see the chopper at the upper right, almost with the score over it, but it's not moving, and neither is my Jeep. Yeah, they will not move, and they will get to the boss, and they will not be able to destroy the boss because they're not moving, they're not firing, so you'll just be stuck here. At any rate, our next game is called Sky Soldiers, and if you have Invincibility on in Attract Mode 1, you will beat the boss and then go to the title screen. You were supposed to be destroyed by this point. See the bullets going right through me. Or through the computer, because I'm not controlling this, I'm just putting in the cheats. And then in Attract Mode 2, or this stage of the Attract Mode, before beating the boss, you will go to some weird screen. I'd never played this in the arcade, so I don't know what the heck it means. But there will be some screen that you go to, some sort of cutscene or something. And then you'll see the third Attract Mode screen. Hope you had a great weekend so far. I had a very good weekend. I had a really good burger. I'm in the hunt for new burger places, and I had a really good one today. My team won their third preseason game and went undefeated in the preseason. Not that it matters worth a damn, but it's kind of nice to see. There's a boss coming up here, I think. I don't remember if I'd seen Sky Soldiers in the arcades. Yeah, I don't know what this screen is supposed to mean, but then we'll go to another Attract Mode. And before you beat the Zeppelin boss on this Attract Mode, you will go to I think you go to a cutscene, and then you restart the Attract Mode. Yeah, it's kind of like, 1942, those series of games. Obviously supposed to die running into the enemy, but it didn't happen. This was yeah, I do not recall coming across this. I've heard of the name of it. Maybe I have. Maybe I had seen it in arcades. I don't remember for sure though. But at any rate, next we're going to look at Splatterhouse, Namco Classic. It's a very gross game, very gory. With Invincibility, the computer will get through an area. They'll get to a ladder and climb up it, or maybe go down it. And he does these super hyper jump kicks. He's got a Jason Voorhees hockey mask on. This is a weird, creepy little game. Chops off his enemies' heads, and they have Nickelodeon green blood slime. It drops down here, and then we'll eventually go to another Attract Mode. There's the high score list. Weird game, and it has a very downbeat ending from what I remember. This girl that you're supposed to rescue, I think she dies. Creepy game. This got, I think, very limited release in the US. This had a number of, I think, home system sequels. Very creepy, very weird game. And this part of the Attract Mode takes place in a sewer or the cellar. But yeah, I'd never seen this in US arcades that I recall. And sorry that these videos are taking so long, that they are like 50 some minutes a piece or so. That is the hurry up wall, I believe, but you'll be able to climb up a ladder and get out of there. And now we're going to look at Super Contra, the first sequel to Contra. With Invincibility on, you are supposed to die at this fort that you come up to, but he just kind of putts around a little bit, and I don't think the game goes to high score list or restarts or whatever. Yeah, the final video, which will be following this one, the final video in this series, should take a lot less, I would think, than most of these have been taking. Should be a lot shorter than 50 some minutes. Yeah, see, we just kind of sit here. I think there might have been a little bit forward movement, but other than that, not much going on. Second player seems to shoot a lot more. Well, now the first player is getting into it. I remember seeing this, I think, only once in arcades at the Rose Festival in Portland, Oregon. Yeah, we just kind of sit here. Now we're going to look at Tetris. Now during this sequence, you can do a trick where you have all one shape, and I'm making them red. All the long stick. And there is also a max speed cheat, which I will eventually put in. But the computer is just too good. They still know where to put these sticks, even though you got the speed up here. Eventually, the game will go to the title screen. I remember seeing this at a number of places back in the day. This was popular with the arcade version. And now we're going to look at Thundercross. Kind of cool shooter. With Invincibility cheat on, you will eventually get to the boss and beat it, or you'll let it get away, or the computer will let it get away, and the game will go to the next stage. And then eventually the game will get the ship to the final boss, but it cannot beat it. The ship will not be flying high enough to destroy it, and you have to hit its head or its upper body or something. It's kind of a cool game. I think this was Konami. It's got nice graphics, sound effects. Of course, you can't hear the music during the attract mode here. I do not recall this in arcades. I'll admit that I was not going to arcades as religiously as I had in like the early and mid 80s. I did kind of scope them out when fighting games got really big in the early 90s. Played a lot of the Fatal Fury games, a little bit of the Art of Fighting and World Heroes games. Yeah, here's one of the bosses that the game will let you or let the computer destroy, or they'll eventually get away if you take too long, and then you'll just go on to the next stage. Like I said, you get to kind of play through this. But the final boss of the game, you cannot beat it, or the computer will not beat it. It will not be flying high enough. You see your ships board a mothership and go off to the next area. But yeah, eventually you will get to the final boss of the game, and you will not be able to destroy it. So you're flying way too low to hit it in the head or chest area where you're supposed to hit it. But at any rate, now we're going to, we're eventually going to move on to the last game of 1988. And it is called Vigilante, and it is kind of a spiritual follow-up to Kung Fu Master. And I have invincibility on here. The enemies will eventually grab you, and you have a hard time shaking them off. And eventually you will go to the high score list. This is the first attract mode stage here. And we will go to a second one in a little bit. Ooh. And here's that second one. I put on a use nunchucks trick, so I always have nunchucks on. But I'm letting him grab onto me there. They're just like knocking a whole bunch off of me. Weird. And it'll go to the high score screen in a little bit. And now we're going to go to 1989 games, and here's Badlands, part of the Super Sprint series, or Sprint series. I put on always turbo speed for the first player car. I think that's a blue one there. And they easily beat the race here. It's supposed to be a lot more competitive. And next we're going to look at Burning Force by Namco. And with invincibility on, you will go through a few bullets. Eventually you'll go to the title screen. That's the first attract mode. This is kind of a takeoff on Space Harrier. It's probably showed up on a number of Namco arcade classic collections. She looks surprised at something. I don't know what that's about. But in the second attract mode, you get to play as a plane or some sort of flying craft, and you can use different weapons. I put on different weapon cheats, and we're going to look at all of them. Eventually, you will go to the title screen. And I was probably supposed to slam into a gate or get shot. But I still have invincibility on. And it goes to the title screen. Now we're going to look at Crime Fighters. I put on infinite energy. See here, if you put on infinite energy for player 1 or player 2, it automatically puts 2 credits in. And you'll have to start a game for real. Not through attract mode. Weird. But if you play with like just invincibility but not the infinite energy trick, which again makes you have to play 2-player 1 or 2-player game, which I'm starting to do here. If you just put on the invincibility, then the game will eventually go to the high score list after a while. But that was my look at some more MAME invincibility cheats or other type of cheats for a number of classic 70s, 80s games, and in this case 80s games. Well, I thank you for joining me, and I will have one last video in this series coming up soon. I hope you join me for that one. It'll be a lot shorter than the rest of these, I promise you. Have a good one, everybody, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.